pain like no other in my back, shooting down my leg. Well, he told me I would never be able to do Olympic weightlifting again.
Today I'm going to share with you Paige's story, an Olympic weightlifter who suffered a devastating back injury while competing at a national competition in 2019. You can see during this jerk PR lift, she receives the bar in an uneven and unstable manner. Now, while she was able to make the lift, things took a turn for the worse in the hours after the competition.
I got on the plane to go home and my body just tightened up worse than I'd ever had before, and I had pain like no other in my back, shooting down my leg, and it was lingered for the next 2 weeks, where it was probably like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 type pain.
An MRI revealed a disc bulge at the L4, L5 segment, and this is what her doctor told her.
Well, he told me I would never be able to do Olympic weightlifting again. We got the MRI on my back, and he told me I had the back of an 80-year-old woman. I ended up getting a steroid shot just because that's what he recommended to me and said that was going to be the fix. I got a steroid shot, and it lasted for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, 4 if I'm lucky. And then I started to have lingering back pain again. My back hurt pretty much all the time. It didn't matter what I was doing. I couldn't run. The pounding from running hurt. If I sat too long, I couldn't do any Olympic weightlifting, which was the main thing that I was looking to do. I couldn't do any hinging movements, so bending over and picking up just regular everyday stuff was a challenge.
Today, I'm going to share with you the initial evaluation I performed on Paige and some of the exercises we used during her rehabilitation time. Now, the first step to any successful rehab plan is to first do a proper evaluation to uncover any of the possible triggers for someone's back pain. I want you to listen in on her responses to some of the loading tests I started with that I first learned from Dr. Stuart McGill. Here, what I want you to do is just hold this down by your side. Okay. From standing right here, do you feel anything in your back? I want you to hold it straight out front. Does that make you feel anything in your back? Yes. Okay. And then back down. Now what I want you to do is brace your core, like out the sides. So pushing my fingers, brace your core like I'm about to punch you, and then lift up. Does that change your symptoms?
It's not as bad.
It's not as bad, so it feels better when bracing. Okay. I want you to come up on your toes, and you're going to smack your heels down as hard as you can. Almost like landing from a plane, I want you to sort of send a shockwave up your spine. So land with a little bit more straighter heels. So you just pop down and try to send a shockwave up your spine. Do you feel any sensations with that?
That was like
That was a painful sensation.
not like a lot of pain, but definitely.
Okay. Do the same thing, but brace your core. So again, nice and strong here, and then hit again. See if that changes it. Here's what was happening anatomically with those last two tests. When someone has a disc injury like this model is mimicking right here, you'll see that there's a little bit of instability right there. A disc injury automatically decreases the stiffness that area, that joint segment has. And when you apply a load to the body, either lifting the weight or doing a quick drop like Paige did, you're gonna see a little micro movement occurring at that particular segment, which was generating pain. Now, when Paige stiffened her core, she was using all the muscles that surround that area to pull the spine into a good position and add a little bit of compression, which then when we reloaded by lifting the weight and doing a quick drop, there was stiffness that added compression and limited those once painful micro movements. Her pain could be reproduced with just doing a simple barbell unloaded RDL, and it also, with the seated compression test, came out in an extended and a flexed postured position. She, however, had no pain when creating compression within a neutral posture position. Another test I had her do was lying on her stomach and raising her leg in the air. And when she did this with her right leg, she noticed an increase in pain in her low back. However, when I put a pillow underneath her stomach to take her out of that extended spinal position and then had her brace her core and then lift her leg, she had no pain. You see, the original movement of raising her leg while lying on her stomach placed an extension and rotational force on her low back, uncovering another trigger. So Paige had signs of being intolerant to many different movements in different directions and also had load intolerance. This meant that in the short term, we had to limit the weight she was lifting in her workouts and also try to maintain a neutral spinal posture throughout her day. Now, it's important when evaluating someone with back pain to take a step back also and check out the joints that connect to the back, like the hip. She had a good amount of hip internal rotation on her left, but as you can see, she had far less on her right. Now, significant side-to-side differences in mobility at the hips for a strength athlete especially can be a big reason behind back pain, as it leads to uneven forces accumulating at the spine. I had her try the assisted hip airplane, dropping her pelvis in a single leg stance until she felt a good stretch in her right glute. She did 10 reps for 5 seconds. When retesting, we found huge improvements, showing this was a great exercise for her program. So at this time, we had uncovered her individual triggers for pain. We had assessed her hip mobility and made big improvements to find more symmetry. Next, we needed to enhance her core stability. We started off with the McGill Big 3, a combination of the modified curl up, side plank, and bird dog, all held for 10 seconds. I then used exercises like the offset walk and offset squats with very low load to work on improving stability in a more sport-specific manner. When the offset weight bounces around slightly, small muscles deep within the body are activated and increase the body's awareness of spinal position, which enhances core stability. Over time, we eventually progressed to bamboo bar squats, which use a light load but enhance core stability to a much greater degree than a traditional barbell lift. To progress her tolerance for hip hinging motions, we started with a banded pull-through exercise. I cued her to brace her core and use the band to assist in hinging her hips back before then pulling forward into full hip extension. We then eventually progressed this to a barbell RDL and then to weighted deadlifts from the floor. During this time, she was also able to do sled pushes and pause squats, focusing on her breathing and maintaining full core stiffness the entire lift. 3 months later, we finally got back to the barbell to reintroduce some Olympic lifts. Our progression started with powers from a high hang position. At this time, we added in some overhead stability work with bamboo bar presses and some jerk recoveries that are very sport specific.
Drop, stability, slowly stand up, control 3-second hold, get your balance, slow squat down. Good.
Here's a recent update on her progress.
So I'm back up to about 50-55% for my Olympic lifts. I'm doing all powers. I've deadlifted 225 for multiple sets, back squatting 170 pounds pretty much with ease, front squatting with pauses at 145, 150, whereas previously the bar was a struggle. So movement is medicine. And if I've ever learned anything, there's always some type of exercise that can fix any type of pain.